Greetings, everyone. My name is Jacqueline Karemi, Policy Specialist here at RCMRD, and I'll be taking you through Module 3, Session 5. So Module 3 is on mapping, monitoring, and monitoring habitat loss, and Session 5 is on community engagement. So I'll be looking at participatory GIS and community-based conservation. So what are the key objectives for this session? You'll be able to understand how participatory GIS supports inclusive decision making. You get to understand the role of GIS in strengthening the policy legitimacy. You also get to understand key policy frameworks that mandate community participation in conservation, and also recognize the value of aligning geospatial tools with participatory governance. So I'll start with a scenario on how you can understand more about what participatory GIS is. So there is one scenario of mapping safe routes in a flood-prone town, let's say Lamu, or a coastal town. So participatory GIS, here you get to, let's say, use a printed aerial map or a projected GIS map and present it to the local residents. What will these residents do? They will get to mark on the map the footpaths that they use daily, which you as someone doing the map at the office cannot really get the actual picture or the actual routes. Then they will also highlight the places that flood first in case of a flooding. They will then draw arrows and routes that people and children often take to schools. So the result of this is you'll now have a map that is reflecting both your data, the technical one, and lived experiences for these residents. And as a local authority personnel, you'll use this plan to come up with evacuation routes and also place warning signs in these specific places. So then, how do we define this participatory GIS? So we can say it is an approach that will combine now the participatory learning, that is the local knowledge, and the action methods with traditional GIS. By engaging the local communities. You can also say it combines geospatial technologies with local knowledge. And the result of this is that it will empower communities to engage in spatial planning, in conservation, and they will get to accept any plans that you come up with, any policies that are derived from these consultations. So some of the application of this participatory GIS, it is community development. From these engagements, you're able to easily empower them to be involved in the development process. You also be able to come up with effective land use plans, even the land tenure. You're also able to do something like education initiatives, conflict resolutions will be easier, cultural heritage preservation will also be achieved. What does this participatory GIS provide? You get to have spatial specificity. This is information about the local interest of the people that otherwise could not be known at the office without their participation. There is also social inclusivity. You get to involve everyone that you're trying to develop for. There is also gaining the local knowledge, and you also get to capacity develop these communities and the groups that you're trying to assist. So some of the core values of this process, you're meant to, there is knowledge sharing, there is equal access of the resources available, there is skill development for all people, there is also capacity building as mentioned earlier. And the final outcome is that you get to equip the communities, the planners, the decision makers with evidence-based insights that will help them come up with policies and actions that are inclusive and acceptable by everyone. So the role of GIS in strengthening policy, how does it enhance the legitimacy of the policies that we come up with? You're able to come up with policies that are transparent and that citizens are able to participate in. So them being transparent, they're easily acceptable and followed by everyone. You're able to enable equitable resource allocation, any resources that are available, by including everyone, you're able to equally share the resources and the benefits. Data is easily visualized to everyone in a way that they can understand. So what does this do? It fosters trust and accountability. addressing spatial inequalities for inclusive policies. So more of the roles of GIS in strengthening the legitimacy of the policies, there is conflict reduction. When you involve people right from the beginning, you easily get to solve the conflicts that may arise right from the beginning. And by the time you're done with coming up with a policy and you're able now to reduce any conflicts that would have arose. Then we have equitable resource allocation. You're able to identify any disparities in the social and the economic sector, so everyone is able to be accommodated. Also, it enables targeted interventions. You're able to now target the places that are lacking and make sure that everyone is on the same level. There's also enhanced accountability again. So when people are able to clearly see what you're doing, what is making you come up with something, not just dictating what they're doing, they're able to trust you more, and yes, there's more accountability. So GIS in actions, where is this applied? We have, when there are elections, there's voter mapping, there's outreach. In land use planning, there's development and sustainability. During disaster management, for example, the scenario that I made on the floodplains, there's public health when there's an outbreak and you need to track and come up with interventions. Then there's also transportation, where you get to do traffic analysis and then come up with optimization measures. So some of the key policy frameworks that mandate community participation in conservation. For the purpose of this training, we will look at a few global ones. There is one that has been mentioned many times. We have the Kunming framework. So this is the one that has the 23 targets from the CBD, and these targets, all 23 of them, they mentioned that you have to include the indigenous people, the local community, in ensuring that you come up with all of them. Then we have the United Nations Decade on Ecosystem on Restoration. Again, it's on a global initiative on restoring the degraded ecosystems, promoting reforestation and all those sustainable measures, and including the community. So all these global policies are available and they will be uploaded on the e-learning platform, including a link on where to see the entire document. So maybe to look deeply into the global one, the key one now, we have the CBD, the Convention on Biological Diversity. It emphasizes on respecting, preserving, and maintaining the knowledge, innovations, and practices of indigenous peoples and the local communities. That is conservation of biological diversity. When you include everyone, when you include all this local knowledge and the local communities, you're able to come up with sustainable measures, and there's sustainable use of the existing resources. And then by doing that, you're able to equitably and in a fair manner share the benefits that arise from now conserving these resources. So the framework, specifically the 23 targets, in this case, the 30 by 30, it also emphasizes on including all stakeholders, more so the IPLCs. Maybe a summary of how we are doing in the region. We have the maps. They're showing the submission of the NVSAPs. We have, so with GIS, you're able to now visualize all this, and the policymakers are able to identify areas of improvement. For example, in our region, we have only 2 that have already submitted the final one. We have 22 yet to submit. So there is urgency now to ensure that everyone is able to submit. Then the national targets, we have mostly all the countries have submitted and a few of them haven't. So they're able to see where to do more capacity building and assistance in the region. So achieving 30 by 30, we have key indicators of these targets. There is a coverage, that is the percentage of land. Then ecological presentation, proportion of ecosystems and habitats included in conserved areas. There's connectivity, there's management effectiveness, there's equity and governance of these areas. So how is this relevant to participatory GIS? We have mapping and monitoring. Obviously, you have to include local communities and all stakeholders. There is stakeholder engagement. You have to map all these stakeholders, identify their role in this in achieving these targets. Then we have data for indicators. Of course, if you have to come up with this data, you have to involve everyone. Then there has to be transparency and legitimacy. Again, you need to include everyone. So where are we going wrong? In achieving this 30 by 30, we have funding gaps. That is over-reliance on short-term donors and funding and limited domestic budgets. There is a need for more funding to be given to the countries in order for them to come up with capacity building, the people reporting, and even coming up with the reports themselves. Then we have weak institutional capacity, that is shortage of staff, overlapping mandates in our countries, and even governance gaps. We have data deficiencies, we have competing land uses. Again, these are country specific. We have under recognition of OECMs. These are private, either they can be community or privately managed areas that are not yet, they are not fully accounted for in the official coverage of the 30 by 30. Then we have limited engagement of the community, that is weak benefit sharing. Not everyone is able to benefit from these conservation efforts. Cross-border coordination gaps, that is poor cooperation in managing shared ecosystems within the countries and the region. Thank you.